What's up, my D&D family? Today I have a challenge build for you, and this was given to us by Jake Parker. Jake Parker challenged me to do a build inspired by a mob-oriented character. Could be a crony, could be a thug, or it could be the big boss. I thought that was a cool idea, so we're gonna jump into that today. What quickly became apparent when I was starting this character is that there was a million different ways we could go about completing this challenge. It almost has complete freedom. The next realization came almost as quick as that I absolutely wanted to use the Mastermind Rogue for this build. Mastermind Rogue is absolutely built to be the boss of a criminal empire. It is rogue, it is focused on mental saves and being a leader more than it is on anything else. So it is kind of like that dark side of leadership type subclass, and I just felt it fit so well that I had to use it. Now we could just go straight Mastermind, but I wanted to mix in some sort of multi-class, and again, sky's the limit. There were so many different multi-classes that we can do, and I sat there and I thought about it for a while, and the one I came to was not one I thought I would come to. I was thinking I'd probably go somewhere more in the realm of a barbarian, a character who could be a mastermind but would every now and again lose his shit and absolutely just beat the crap out of someone. I think that has a lot of potential, but what I fell on was actually wizard. Definitely not what I expected. The reason for that is that I thought that the divination wizard's portent was really cool with Mastermind, because instead of saying, oh, I see the future all magically, instead it's just like we are such a tactician that we can make certain predictions throughout the day and just analyze the situation so well that we can change the outcome of that situation. So I like to see us as a chess player with this build, and I feel like divination wizard really helps with that. So we have kind of two different paths we can go. We can kind of be a mob boss who steals a bunch of crap and ends up with some magic books and basically gets the basics of magic down as a side hobby. Or we could go even lighter in our magic and just flavor all of the spells we use as just us having a very capable brain. So I think of something like Charm Person or Cause Fear in those first level spells as spells we could potentially take that we can flavor as just us being extremely intimidating or us being extremely charming. You can honestly go either way just fine. Now I prefer doing the even more magic light. I've never done a wizard that I'm basically flavoring as not having magic, so that's new and interesting to me, so I'm going to go ahead and do that for this build. So now we have our two classes. We can pretty quickly see that what we need for our stats is a primary in dexterity, a secondary in intelligence, and a tertiary in constitution. It might be a little bit more viable to do constitution as our tertiary, but I actually like the idea of us being a little less hardy because we are more about brains, and so I wanted to explore that with this build. And then when it comes to our lineage, again, there was so many different options we could take, but for flavor and mechanics mixing the two together, I really like Hobgoblin. Hobgoblin synergizes well with the Mastermind Rogue because now our help action can not only be done as a bonus action and at 30-foot range, but can also give additional buffs via Hobgoblin. Additionally, Hobgoblin also has the feature that allows us to boost our saving throws when we have teammates near us. And the cherry on top is, of course, Dark Vision. So Hobgoblin really worked out well here. As for our leveling structure, I'm going to take my first level in Wizard, the next 3 levels into Mastermind Rogue, the 2 after that go back into Wizard, and finally, we go the rest into Mastermind Rogue. Now, talking about this first level, there's a good argument for going rogue first, but at the end of the day, I wanted my wisdom save proficiency. That's really why I'm going into wizard in the first level. I prefer the equipment and I prefer the skills of going rogue, but it really bugs me to have a mastermind, someone who's brilliant, and have them being basically mind controlled every time there's a sorcerer around. I didn't like that, so it was really important to me to get that proficiency in our wisdom saves. Now we do lose a skill doing that. We are slower with our equipment, but I think that's a sacrifice worth making. Now, as for our spells, we're not going to really want damaging cantrips because we're going to be sneak attacking all the time. So it was a good opportunity to take some different, more utility-based cantrips. I really like Message because we are the center, we are the core of communication, we give orders. I really liked that. And one of the nice things about going wizard is that we get a ton of first level spells. The ones that stand out to me are the previously mentioned Cause Fear, Charm Person. I also really like Silvery Barbs. Not only is it fantastic, but it still fits that magic light flavor because we are just sitting there, we can see into their psyche and know what words are going to bug them, and so we can attempt to annoy them as they're trying to accomplish something. I like that. I also like the idea of a familiar, just because of the mob boss look. Mob bosses, you know, we typically are going to be dressed nice. We have a cool animal companion. It's going to be an owl, but we can really flavor that bird however we want, but it's going to have the stats of an owl. And then the weapon we're going to be using is going to be a light crossbow. Not only does it fit the mobster best as far as fantasy is concerned before we get into guns, but it's also the best weapon for the Mastermind Rogue. Speaking of the Mastermind Rogue, our next 3 levels are going to be spent getting there. Now, as for our skills, we are going to be missing a skill, but the ones I really want to focus on are actually face skills. Now, we don't have a lot of charisma, so expertise in intimidation and deception makes a lot of sense for me because this is a mob boss. We specialize in intimidating the crap out of people, so I really want to bring that to light, so I'm not going to miss putting expertise there. As for our cunning action, it can be useful for this level, but ultimately we're going to want to be using our bonus action to do the Mastermind's help action. And so cunning action is going to be used less with a Mastermind than it's going to be used with a lot of different rogues. And this all really comes together at level 3. At level 3, we're going to be using our action to make an attack, hopefully to get a sneak attack off. We're going to be using our bonus action to give help to a teammate. We're then going to have our reaction to do things like silvery barbs or shield. Again, shield can be flavored as we just read our opponent specifically well in that moment and get more AC because we basically know where they're going to attack before they do, that type of thing. On top of that, we're going to have a familiar who can either give the help action to us to make our sneak attacks more consistent or give them to our teammates to give us multiple help actions per turn. Now, we have a pretty hefty set of action economy here. We're hitting a bunch of different actions, and it's not always going to go that way. Sometimes we're going to need to bonus action disengage, do things like that, but overall that is our core game plan. Now, this is a good time to talk about our Hobgoblin's ability to buff up our help action. Now, there's 3 different things it can do. It can give a teammate temporary HP of an average of 3.5 temporary HP. It can give both us and them an additional 10 feet of movement speed. Now, these 2 are pretty conditional. I can see us using them, but they're not going to be our bread and butter. Our bread and butter is going to be the one that whatever ally we give advantage to, whoever they hit is going to have disadvantage on their next attack. So this is fantastic. This kind of turns us into a little bit of like that Ancestral Guardians vibe, and it allows us to be more tanky for our team in a very roundabout way, but I think that's pretty neat, and it's going to be my go-to for the Hobgoblin. Now, the next 2 levels, we're going to go into Wizard. This is going to give us 2nd level spells. It's going to give us the Almighty Portent to mix in our already abundant reaction game, and we're going to get some extra 1st level spell slots for more spammables as well. So now we can spam Silvery Barbs, Shield, Absorb Elements, which is an important spell because we didn't take a proficiency in Dexterity, so this actually helps us out with our Dexterity until we pick up Evasion later down the road. The spell Web stands out to me as being a cool sticky trap that we can like throw a grenade and it blows up into this webby sticky trap. That's pretty neat. I think that's cool. If I was less worried about being magic light, I would definitely like Vortex Warp. Vortex Warp is very cool for the chess players because we get to move our pawns around the battlefield as we see fit. But because I'm going more magic light, I'm actually not going to take that because I want a way of explaining the way I'm doing these things without magic, and that's pretty hard to do when I'm teleporting people 90 feet away. Now, after this, we're going to go back into Rogue for the rest of our career, and really, we've already established what our bread and butter is. We're going to improve our sneak attack. We're going to get a bunch of abilities that help us out. Uncanny Dodge is another reaction to add to our abundant list. We get Evasion, which basically makes Dexterity saving throws a thing of the past, and we're going to get more Expertise, which I'm probably going to grab Stealth at this point, and then maybe another face, or maybe Perception, or maybe Insight. There's a bunch of different ones that we could take and feel good about it, but I'm definitely wanting to probably be more stealthy at this point. As for our Mastermind features, the 2nd Mastermind feature you pick up is honestly pretty lackluster. It's one of those, hey, I'm going to look at them, do they have more charisma than me? Yes or no? As a whole feature, that's really not much, but the one that does excite me, even though it's not incredible, is if there's someone who can interpose between you and an attack, you can use your reaction to make them hit your henchmen instead of you, and that's just the most mob boss feature in the entire game. So we're going to go get it, even though it's not powerful and it's ridiculously late leveled for what it is. It's fun and I like the flavor of it, so we're gonna go grab that. When I think about this character, it's definitely more of a roleplay heavy character. I love the imagery of us being dressed to the nines, having a crossbow, a frickin' hawk on our shoulder, and a cigar with like a bowler hat, and we're just this gangsta, and I like that. And I think the roleplay of having the criminal background, and we have these criminal contacts, and we have this old criminal gang, maybe they betrayed us or something, we're trying to get our gang back. There's a ton of story potential here, but there were so many different routes we could take with this build, so what I want to hear from you guys is what would you have done with your mob-based character? What roleplay do you think would really be fun, and what story would be really great with this character? Let me know in the comments down below. These videos are made possible by our Patreons like I Am Not Soul X and Sean M, and I want to give a special thank you to both of them for being amazing supporters to this channel, so thank you so much, guys. And I want to say thank you as well for taking your time out of your day to watch this video, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.